What's up, bro? Yesterday, I told my dad that I'm going to be moving out next week. And like, my big age, 24, is still like, when you come from an Asian household, they expect you to be around because that's their culture. Like, family's a massive thing, and I love my family, and it's been, this past 2 years has showed me that I had a lot to work on before I was ready to go out and really achieve my dreams that I set out, because immediately after university I was like, yeah, I need to be a millionaire, but I had to make family reparations for all the bad that I did in the past. I had to learn proper independence. I had to let go of all of my drug habits. I had to get close with my brother. I had to connect with God. There's so many blessings that I had to learn before I was ready to become the man that I dream of. And that's all this life is. It's how fast can we fail? How fast can we go through the struggle? How fast can we grow and learn? Because in this life, it's a war of attrition. And when I was speaking to my dad last night and I was telling him, like, yeah, I'm moving, his initial, like, thoughts were, oh, you don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to do that. Why? Why do you want to? Like, you've got a roof here. We're here. He's like, we're not like English people. And I was like, it's not about English people or not. I have massive goals. I have massive aspirations. And I need more pressure. I can't keep living in comfort. Because whilst I force the discomfort every day, when you've still got a guaranteed roof over your head at your parents' house, even though I pay bills, even though I contribute, when I've still got that safety aspect there, I can't fully grow. And there's people out there that are in the dumps, doing harder things than me, that are growing at a faster rate than me. I can't let that happen. There's people that are going through so much more development, and that's what actually excites me. It's like, right, I'm going to be in this apartment now, and I'm going to be able to do my push-ups in the morning for you guys to see, and there's going to be nice skyscrapers in the background, and I'm still going to have to wake up and be like, right, I've got rent to pay, I've got this person to pay for, I've got all this to invest in, I've got so much more responsibility now that I wouldn't have otherwise. So it's the growth that I'm seeking. And I tried to explain that to him, and I think he started to understand, but it was a bittersweet moment. Because, like, we weren't that close. Like, we were close as when we were kids, and then we had a really rocky relationship. When I was delinquent, I was horrible to my family, and, like, when I went through my memories in, like, May, so that I could draw lessons from my past to try and share with you guys. And I got really emotional when I started going through. And I'm not someone that, like, if you guys know me, I'm not someone that's like, talk about my feelings and emotions and all that kind of stuff. But, like, bro, I literally broke down in tears because I was like, I caused so much bad for my family. I caused so much wrong for them. And I caused them so much stress, and I was so disrespectful. And I just didn't value my relationship with any of them. I had an inferiority complex. I thought that because I'm brown and all my friends are white, like, my family are just like animals. I thought they were horrible people because they didn't want me to go out and party every night. They cared about my future. They cared about the man I needed to become. But all I wanted was the hedonism. All I wanted was the next girl, the next party, the next club, the next drug, all of that. After your own self, the next people that are going to look out for you the most are your parents. So we have to treasure those people every single day. Like, our purpose is so much bigger than us. Our purpose is, if we just rely on our own selves, we can only get so much satisfaction. Like, how much better in shape can I get? How much more cars can I get? How many more wives can I get? But it's about how many people can I serve? And I'm talking about this like, how many wives can I get? That's future. But it's like, how much of an impact can I provide for all the people around me? How much of a role model can I show up? How much of a role model can I be every day and show up for everyone who looks up to me? How good can I get in all of these different aspects? So that when people look up to someone, like, yeah, I want to model my life after this guy, you have no weakness to your frame. And people can look at you and be like, yeah, I want that guy's life. He's connected with God. He's in the best physical shape. He's got the most successful businesses. He does the most good. He's the best to people around him. He's the kindest. When I ran my business last year, all I cared about was just focusing on improving in the business. And the more that I focus on just the business, the less I focused on myself. And the biggest constraint in any business isn't the model itself. Because if that was true, then all of these successful people doing drop shipping, if the model was the constraint, none of them would be successful. But it's always the entrepreneur. It's always the person that's the constraint. If you're a sales manager and your team's not performing, you're the constraint. If you're a salesperson and you're not getting sales, you are the constraint. And the reason that my business was constrained for so long, despite me putting so much work into it, is because I forgot about my growth. I forgot about my growth beyond the business. So it's that whole same old analogy that if I'm doubling down on something, let's say that I really want this girl and I'm going to go chase after her, she's going to run away from me because I forget about myself in the process. The more I chase about after the money, instead of focusing on building the value and the skills and the character, it's going to run away from me. You know, I was putting so much work into that business last year, so much work and energy, but I wasn't getting better. It's like, I filmed the training course and we were getting a bunch of deals and we had the best results any sales team in the country. We were putting in the most volume, the most deals anyone could do. But my smart ass was let that get to my head. I was like, yeah, we've got the most deals. We've generated the most revenue. Where was the profit? Where was the money? I ran that sales agency for a year and we didn't get paid. Because I was so obsessed on vanity metrics and how it would feel when I'd give the guys a shout out like, oh guys, we did 150 deals this week. We generated like 6 million in revenue. Meanwhile, I'd make like £200 that week. Some of the reps would get paid similar. And it's like, how much longer are you going to stop focusing? How much longer are you going to keep focusing on these vanity metrics rather than the actual result? And if I had that pressure where I have to pay rent, I have to pay XYZ, I probably would have found a solution quicker. But I can't sit here and think about if, buts and maybes. All I can focus on is the now. How much harder am I going now? I've just finished my morning cardio. I've increased the speed I was going at. I did abs when I didn't want to. I did back extension even when I didn't want to. And did my stretching when I didn't want to. Because I understand that even if I don't want to do it, even if I think it's a waste of time, the reward that I'm going to get is going to be marginally better. Maybe the enemy that I've created in my mind, who's an alternate version of me but does the things that I don't want to do, maybe he did that stretching. Maybe I beat him today because he didn't want to do it. I did extra, only like 20 seconds extra on the cardio, but I burned like an extra 3 or 4 calories, which would have been the amount of 1%. So I got better. Now I can take that win into tomorrow. Now I can take that win into the rest of the day. The pain is temporary for us, but the pain of everlasting comfort and the wasted potential, that lasts for eternity. Seeing God on Judgment Day, and let's say that you conform to a life of mediocrity, and you had all of your sins, and you didn't have a good connection with God, and all of that, and you're just destined to the fire. That's terrifying, bro. That is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. This life's a war of attrition. This life is us waking up every day and seeing how good can I get? How good can I get? And if we're not moving better, faster, stronger every single day, then I don't think we are getting better. Something needs to improve every day. Something. Businesses normally grow at a rate of 9% per year. And if you're not growing at a rate of 9% per year, you're dying. Because everyone else is lapping you. Everyone else is overtaking you. And for us, people love to compensate with like, yeah, 1% better every day. I want to be so much more than 1% better every day. Think about 5% better every day. 10% better every day. Think about the compound interest on that. That is crazy work. The depth of our struggle determines the height of our success. So the more sacrifice we put ourselves through today, the more reward is going to come to us tomorrow. But it doesn't come without putting ourselves through that initial discomfort, through the initial adversity, through learning our lessons along the way. We have so much more potential than we realise, bro. But it's just on the other side of our daily effort. Don't look back when you're putting yourself through these trials. Actually focus on the work. Focus on the needle moving effort. When I focus too much on the big end goal, like, yeah, the Ferrari and all this kind of stuff, it's good to have that overarching goal. And more recently, I've written down everything, every materialistic goal I want and how much it costs to the T. But the times I feel the most comfy when I'm asking Allah, praying to God, when I've got my head on the floor, is when I focus on the daily effort. When I focus on the work I'm doing to get there. When I focus on, right, I'm doing this sales call, right, I'm making this content, right, I'm speaking to this person. When I envision that, then the dreams of the Ferrari and everything comes easier. Because I'm focusing on the growth. I'm not focusing on the dopamine metric. Oh, we did 150 revenue generated deals. All right. Oh yeah, well, I'm going to get a Ferrari in 2 years. All right. What are we doing today? What are we doing today to get there? That's the real question. Because we know that when we let the skills compound, when we get better at sales, when we get better at marketing, when we get better at all of these things, we'll get the money. The money comes. But how do we grow beyond that? How do we focus on the things that money can't buy? How do we focus on this physique every day? How do we focus on our health? How do we focus on our relationship with God? How do we focus on commanding respect every day? How do we focus on our speaking? How do we focus on being that beacon of light, that beacon of that role model for everyone to look up to? Because when you've got the things that money can't buy, we end up making more money, but we get more impact. The biggest constraint is never the business. The biggest constraint is never the model. The biggest constraint is never the job. The biggest constraint is always you. Me and you. That's the biggest constraint. Think about how much faster, how much better, how much more energy we can have on our sales calls in our day when we've woken up and we've smashed the gym, when we've kept clean to our diet, we've got more energy. Think about the energy and confidence and conviction you take throughout the rest of your day when you're interacting with people. That leads to more money, which leads to a positive effect, more conviction, more confidence, more momentum, more energy. And it's this upward spiral that we generate through having everything in life in check. I'm never going to have an idle moment where I'm like not doing anything, where like even if I go on a walk, I'm either thinking about an idea for what I want to do in my business or content, or I can read Quran, or I can call someone, or I make stories or make videos. I don't want to waste time. Ever. Everything I do is with a purpose. Even if, when we craft our mindset to be one of obsession and growth, everything becomes work. But we need to change the connotation around work. I don't see work as like a dirty word. I love work because my life is one of purpose. My life is one of direction. My life is one of progress. So when I see everything as work, I feel better out doing it. I see sitting with my family as work because I'm increasing my traits there and I'm building memories with them. That's work. When I go to the gym and I'm crafting my body and my mind and my soul, that's work. When I'm praying to God and I'm asking him to help me through all of my afflictions because he's the only one that can help, and I'm thanking him for everything that he's given me, that's work, because I'm going to get more and I'm seeking the pleasure of my Lord. When I'm sending messages, when I'm making videos, that's work. But the true work we need to focus on is that deep grit, the things that we don't want to do, the things that we struggle with, the things that actually move us forward as people. For example, when I ran my sales agency, my work was like voice notes, texts, calls all the time. So when it got to the point where I started doing different work, like behind the computer, creating spreadsheets, creating course modules, creating all that kind of stuff, I enjoyed filming them. But when it came to building, I realized my attention span was cooked. So cooked. And I'd be there, I'd be like focused for like half an hour, and then I'd be checking my phone, and I'd be so scattered in my brain, and I felt really helpless. I was like, why can't I focus? I thought I was productive. It's because when you neglect work like this, the work that actually moves the business forward, how do you think the business isn't growing? Why do you think the business isn't growing? You're the constraint. I was the constraint. If I'd had less of an ego trip and realized that we were getting fucked and we weren't getting paid, rather than listening to the lies I was being told by our clients, oh, the money's coming, if I was in better shape, holding myself to that higher standard, if I had a better connection with God, holding myself to that higher standard, seeking more blessings, if I knew that I was putting in more meaningful work that was moving me forward and the business forward and challenging myself in that regard, I would have found a solution quicker. It took me like 8 months to find a solution. I would have maybe found it in 4 because I was dying. The business was growing in vanity metrics, but in reality we were dying because I was the constraint. So before pointing the finger at anything else, bro, any of these models that we look at online, they can all work. Dropshipping, e-commerce, trading, whatever your goal is. Maybe you don't even want to do entrepreneurship. Maybe you just want to increase in your job. We're always the constraint. Everything's our fault, even if it's not. It's the most competitive mindset that's actually going to hold us to that standard. Once we raise our standards, anything is possible, bro. Anything. And we need to show up to be that beacon of hope and support for everyone that looks up to us. Keep pushing, bro.